Welcome to Front Office Pros. Today, we're going to be talking about part 3 of our 2023 Startup Dynasty Draft with rookies. I'm here with my co-manager, Dustin. Last time we talked to you after part 2, we just wrapped up our 10th pick in the 10th round. We're now going to be going through to our 11th round. So, Dustin, take us away. We just drafted Leonard Fournette, and now we're heading on onward.
All right, so we drafted Leonard Fournette at 10-10 overall. Let's just go through our lineup. We started with CeeDee Lamb at the first round, Kyle Pitts in the second round, Najee Harris, Jerry Jeudy, a rookie pick in the fifth round, which is the 107, DeAndre Hopkins, Trey Lance, Ezekiel Elliott, Derek Carr, and Leonard Fournette. After our Leonard Fournette pick, it went Elijah Mitchell, Greg Dulcich, Michael Gallup, Kenneth Gainwell, David Bell, David Njoku, Geno Smith, a rookie pick, which is the 105, then the the 205, and then the 206. Evan Ingram, a rookie pick for the 207, a rookie pick for the 208, and it comes to us at 1107, and we took Tom Brady. Now, full disclosure, we made this pick mid-January. We are recording this February, what's today, the first, second?
Second.
News broke this morning, February 2nd, that Tom Brady has retired. But when we made this pick,
Or first the news came out. First.
Okay, came out the first. When we made this pick, we both assumed and we both believed that Tom Brady was going to play one more year. So, Steve, walk us through our thought process when we made this pick and your thought process on this pick now.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like you said, it could end up being a completely wasted pick. Most likely will end up being a wasted pick for us, unfortunately. But that was a gamble that we took. We had Lance and Carr, and we really wanted that third quarterback. We had wanted Geno Smith. He was in that tier. I think it was Geno, Brady. I think Stafford was there, but neither you or I liked him. And then it was
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, Jimmy G. Yeah, exactly. So when Geno went, which we had thought about taking Geno at our last pick when we picked Fournette, at that point, you and I both believed that Brady was going to play. I was pretty convinced that he was going to, with the landscape of the quarterback market. I thought he could go to the Raiders easily. You had heard rumors about possibly the Dolphins. He maybe wanted to go to San Fran. Who knows? So at this point, we're stuck with him, and we need to hold on to him regardless. There's no reason to, even when this draft's over, for us to cut him. It really would make no sense. Like at this point,
no waivers in this league. So
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so I mean, he's with us until next year. So I think for me, the hope. Here's the thing. I could be wrong about this. But if some team is desperate enough and approaches Tom Brady during the course of free agency and gives Tom the bag, and they're a good team. So I've heard, based on reports, that the only team that he really would consider going to is the San Francisco 49ers. If the 49ers would come to him and say, Tom, we want you as our quarterback, I have a hard time believing he has the resolve to say, no, I'm not going to go back. Yeah. I could be wrong about that. He's already come out of retirement once before. He still played at a decently high level. The Bucs were not the same team as they were 2 years ago. So that's kind of my taste with Brady. But what do you think, Dustin?
So we had wanted Geno Smith. We didn't take Geno at the 10-10. Partially because we're doing this draft on Sleeper. Geno was very far down the ADP list, like below guys like Drew Brees, below like Ben Roethlisberger. Like he was way down there, and we thought maybe people wouldn't scroll looking for him. We wanted a third quarterback based on people taking two. There were still some teams who either had one or none, and we had it. I think when we ranked it, it was Geno, Brady, Jimmy G, Stafford.
Yeah.
Seeing Geno go, I agree with you. We both thought Brady was going to play. We both kind of thought the Raiders made the most sense. We made the pick for Brady. We're in a win now. That's been our build this whole time, is win now. We're headed into this long term with teams not having quarterbacks after us, so we knew we wanted to take a quarterback here. I would have loved Geno. I'm still happy with the Brady pick. I agree with you. Brady, I think, plays this upcoming year.
Really?
I don't think he starts week 1 though.
Mm.
Let's face it. San Fran cannot keep a quarterback healthy. They have
Mm.
some weird monkey paw situation where they keep finding these good quarterbacks, but they're only going to play 5 games. I find it hard to believe that a San Fran, another good team, loses their starter week 8, week 9. They have a good record. They call Tom Brady and say, "Hey, we just need you to finish the season in playoffs, and we're going to throw a bunch of money at you that he doesn't come out of retirement." He retired February 1st this year. He also retired February 1st last year. 40 days later, came out of retirement.
I didn't realize that happened on the same
The
day.
same day. Now, this one
Wow.
definitely seemed a lot more sincere. It was just a Instagram video that he shot, not a lot of fanfare. Kind of threw it out there. It seemed more legit and sincere. But right, you're right. If someone throws the bag at him, it's going to be hard for him to say no. Like, what's he? Now he's got money to go back into the booth. Apparently, he's got a big contract with I think Fox to
Fox
go
Sports, yeah.
do broadcasts like $1 bazillion or whatever it is, which he doesn't need. It's not about the money for Brady. It's about the competition and for on some level the boredom. Like, what does he do when he's not playing football? Obviously, his personal life is a whole topsy turvy thing with him and Giselle getting divorced. Um, I think Brady could play this year. There are no waivers in this league, so we can't drop him and pick someone up after the draft. I mean, unless they decide to do that just for a brief after the draft
Courtesy.
window, because
Yeah.
courtesy, like, hey, we're drafting early, like things have changed, guys retired. I'm still happy with like the thought process we had with this pick was smart. With those 4 rookies coming off, we didn't really like the rookie picks because we're in a win now. We thought we had Lance, who's the youth with the upside. We have Carr, who's that consistency. We thought maybe we get 1 or 2 years out of Brady. Obviously, things did not break our way. Obviously, it didn't break that way when we were hoping Gino would fall and we took Fournette instead. But I do think there's a chance Brady could play in 2023.
Yeah, and Dustin, in my opinion, so in between Fournette and Brady, you might disagree with me here, but honestly, looking at the board, this might be the best value in this turnaround for me. I almost, I mean, not necessarily the rookie picks. It's so hard to forecast. We're so early in the draft process. It's
Yes.
hard to know, especially in a 16 team league. It's hard to know what those second round picks are going to turn into. But man, I mean, I'm in on Evan Ingram. I'm in on David Njoku. I'm in on Dulcich. I talked heavily with you on Elijah Mitchell because I think Christian McCaffrey gets injured, Mitchell gets involved, and he already starting to get involved. I like Gainwell at the time. At this recording, now we've seen what he's done in the playoffs. We hadn't seen that yet, but with Sanders being a free agent, his involvement could take a big increase. I like Gallup. The only question mark for me is David Bell. That to me is a big reach. He did nothing. I understand people had, Deshaun Watson was not, he didn't play most of the year. They thought he could do really well in that slot with Deshaun Watson. And my understanding is usually with rookie receivers, if they perform that badly, they usually don't dig themselves out of that hole.
Yeah, I agree with you that David Bell here was the pick that I was shocked about. Now we had talked about, and we didn't talk about this in part 2, so this will be new for part 3. When we got to the Fournette, leading up to that Fournette pick, we had ranked them Fournette, Mitchell, Gino were our options at 10, and we said we liked Fournette. We were hoping Mitchell would fall to us in 11. He didn't. I agree with you. David Bell is a. I didn't see flashes of upside. I don't see that boom potential from him. Clearly, Team 2 is building a wide receiver heavy team. Um, they've got 4 or 5 guys, maybe 6 guys on their team now. Um, Picking up some rookie picks. It just seems like the outlier there, but maybe their strategy is different. But I was happy with, at the time, I was happy with Brady. Obviously, I'd like to redo that pick if we could, but taking Brady at 11:07 made sense for us. It was our third quarterback, so I think we baked in that risk that if Brady didn't play, we still had Lance and Carr. And
Yeah,
we had baked that in when we made that pick.
one more thing on this round too, which was interesting, and maybe people question our Fournette pick. But even in our league chat, someone actually, I want to say it was Team 3, was like, man, I was really hoping that Fournette would come to me. So had we not taken Fournette at that pick, he would not have
He
been
wasn't
there at
he wasn't
11.
coming back. And that's where the strategy comes in, like looking at those teams, right? I think team 3 only has one running back on their team at this point. So
Yeah.
they were looking, or maybe none. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Gainwell was their first, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
were going zero RB. They're looking for those upsides. So I was like, it's nice in your drafts when you get that validation from your league mates of like, oh man, you sniped me, or oh man, I was hoping you'd fall. Like that's great indication of like, yeah, there was some value that some other people are agreeing that you're not just pulling something out of the woodwork. So we took Brady at 11:07. After that, it went Trey McBride, Khalil Shakir for Buffalo, uh, Boyd for Cincinnati, Isaiah Hodgins, who I love, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones, and Isaiah Likely finish out the 11th round. Start of the 12th round, Tigga Conquo, Devin Singletary, Jameis Winston, Desmond Ritter, the 2-0, I believe we're up to 9, the 2-10, Sam Howell, KJ Osborne, Hassan Haskins, and then us at 12-10 took tight end Mike Gesicki. Steve, talk to me about Mike Gesicki.
I do have to make one quick comment.
Yes.
Would you ever have thought in a world as a Bills fan that Isaiah Hodgins would be drafted before the likes of Matthew Stafford and Hunter Renfrow? And would you ever have thought Zay Jones was going to be relevant again? But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes.
So I really like the Mike Gesicki pick. You and I are, I think, way higher on Gesicki than the industry. He was not utilized in Miami. And so if you look at it in a vacuum, why do you want Mike Gesicki? Well, he was given the franchise tag. He's not coming back to Miami. They're not going to pay him that money. He was not a fit in that Mike McDaniel offense, but he has proven to be a good receiving threat tight end. He is going to go to a team in this offseason. I think he has a very strong shot at getting a good amount of money and being a starter for another team. So for us, I think it's a steal in the 12th round that we were able to get Mike Gesicki. And I think that with the tight end premium, there's definitely going to be a few games in this 2023 season that I think he's going to, happen to be one of our flexes. So for us to get him in this round, I was ecstatic.
I agree. Me and you are both Gesicki lovers, and I think we're higher than the industry. We got Kyle Pitts in the second round, and what everybody loves about Kyle Pitts is that he's a receiver playing tight end. Gesicki's the same mold. Like he's got the receiver build, and he's doesn't do so well when he's lined up in line and has to block. That's not his skill set. His skill set is a receiver. He really should just be a wide receiver. That's why they franchise tag him because they couldn't agree on a contract because he wants receiver money and he's playing the tight end. I agree with you. He's a free agent. He's probably my favorite free agent out there. I wrote the article about him. I've been hyping up Gesicki. I think he goes to a team that's going to use him. We knew coming into this year that the Mike McDaniel system was not meant for Gesicki. They want the guy who can block and then get out. That's what George Kittle does in San Fran. He blocks and then gets out and gets open. Gesicki needs to be on a team that's going to line him up in the slot or out wide or have more dedicated where he just runs off the line and runs routes. I would love to see him in Detroit. I would love to see him. I think he can land somewhere great. I just think of the value there, especially with the tight end premium. When we're talking about guys like KJ Osborne, who's like the third, who's never really shown it, people forget that 2 years ago, Gesicki was the top 5 tight end, and everyone was doubting him to be the next Travis Kelce. When you see him going this late behind guys who just haven't shown it, KJ Osborne has never shown it. Like Sam Howell hasn't shown anything. Desmond Ritter, I mean, yes, they're quarterbacks, right? You're talking about the 209, the 210 rookie pick. Like, I love that we get a guy that has had a great year 2 years ago, was really a product of his system this year. Still ran good routes, just wasn't seeing the targets. Obviously, with Hill and Waddle, who has a ton of upside. I think when Gesicki signs somewhere, people are going to be clamoring for him. So I think come March, April, Gesicki's going to be flying up draft boards, and we got him in the 12th round. I could see him going up in that Cole Kmet, Firemouth, late 7th,
Oh,
early
yeah.
8th
Oh,
round.
yeah.
I mean, Dawson Knox with the 9th. Now, I love Dawson Knox as a player. I got his jersey for Christmas. It was what I asked for. Actually, for my birthday, it was the only thing I asked for my birthday was I want a Dawson Knox jersey. I love his fit for the team, but he's like really a touchdown dependent guy. Gesicki can be a solid contributor. Like he can get 5 catches for 50, 60 yards every game. And then if he scores, it's just that added bonus. Having that in tight end premium in a best ball league is huge. And I think we got huge value with Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, well, I agree. So between Brady and Gesicki, any surprises for you, Dustin, in that group?
Hunter Renfro's the surprise. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the Raiders. And he was really a product of Derek Carr needing someone to dump the ball to. We saw this year he didn't play well, didn't have a great season with the addition of Devontae Adams. He was banged up. He's the poor man's Cooper Cup, but like a poor man's Cooper Cup, right? Like I don't see that potential. When you're talking about like Zay Jones has that boom potential. Isaiah Hodgins has caught 5 touchdowns in the last like 6 games of the season. Akil Shakir has that boom potential. I don't see a lot of boom potential for Renfro. He's a low end consistency guy. Yes, he's going to get you, maybe he gets you 8 receptions a game, which, PPR is fine. But like, I don't see him ever having a 8 reception, 100 yard, 2 touchdown game. He might get you 8 receptions for 80 yards. Okay, that's good. Is it great? No, I just didn't see a lot of upside there for Hunter Renfro.
Yeah, I think the big one for me, I mentioned it before. I like Hodgins, but is it being a prisoner of the moment? I think at the time this might have been around the Vikings Giants playoff game where he played the way that he did, and I don't know. I understand that he has upside, but there's a reason why he was poached from the Bills practice squad. So I don't know. I hope the best success for him. For me though, I'd rather have Renfro over Hodgins.
I mean, I was probably the first person on Twitter touting Isaiah Hodgins. I wrote my article that had him in it as a um, Dynasty future, player. And it came out November 16th. He scored his first touchdown November, I think, 21st. So I
Wow.
was one of the first people on him. I love his size. I love his potential. I love his fit there. I think there's a lot of upside. Um, I think when you're in these rounds, I think that's where strategy starts coming in. Like, what are you looking for? We are clearly looking for a win now team. That's why we took some guys
That's
like
true.
Fournette and Carr. Like, if you're just looking for those boom guys, like, go for it, right? If you're looking for the guys that maybe build that hype, right? If the Giants sign Daniel Jones, keep Barkley, and then don't bring in a big name receiver, and Hodgins is their 1 or 2 on that team, like I think there's going to be some buzz if he continues. If he comes out the first 2 weeks and has touchdowns both games, like people are going to go, "Oh my gosh, he's great." That's why people love Gabe Davis because he had 3 touchdowns in 4 games or 5 games or whatever it was. Like people just get caught up in that, and you can build on the hype. We did the same things earlier with Hopkins and Lance like in Carr, like, hey, that hype could build. So I think there's that low end potential hype for Hodgins. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of him. So I'm really happy to see him go there. I'm happy to see him finally get his love. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's at this point in the draft, it's get your guy. Don't really worry about ADP. Build your team right. We talked last episode about this house analogy. We have all the rooms we need. We have our kitchen, our living room, our bedrooms, our spare bedrooms, our den. Now we're starting to add things. I think Gasicki for us is that like it's the back porch. It's fun. It's useful. Maybe it's only useful half the year when it's summer, but when summer comes, it's great to have it. So after Gasicki at 211, Ryan Tannehill, then Hayden Hurst, Jimmy Garoppolo, Deontay Foreman, Cordero Patterson, Curtis Samuel finished out the 12th round. 13th round started with a rookie pick, which I believe is the I want to say 10. Then Zach Wilson, then another rookie pick. Then Rashad Penny, another rookie pick. DJ Shark, and then it came to us at the 1307. And Steve, we took Michael Carter, running back for the New York Jets. What were your thoughts with adding Carter here for our team?
Yeah, I think I was really hoping that Chark would make it to us. I know you're not a Chark believer. I think he did a prove it deal with Detroit, did pretty well. Free agent class is pretty weak. I think he could get a good amount of money. And, he performed pretty well in Jacksonville. But nevertheless, we ended up with Michael Carter. I like Michael Carter for the reason simply because of Brees Hall's ACL injury. Brees Hall is going to have to. He is. It so far we've already seen that he has doing pretty well in his recovery, but most likely out of the gate they're not going to rely on Brees Hall solely.
Yes.
That means Michael Carter is. I mean, now we did see Zonovan Knight get involved as well, so I mean there could be a concern. It's not that Michael Carter is necessarily assured the backfield, but I want to say he'd be the favorite. And so I think for in our conversation as co-managers, I was more of the I was content with who we had personally. I think I was willing to I like the idea of like a Paris Campbell. Possibly. But at the end of the day, we decided that we should have some more running back options. And this is the part where it comes to roster construction. How many running backs did we want to have on the roster? At this point, we had three. We get Michael Carter. We have four, possibly five with the rookie pick, but we don't want to force ourselves into having to pick a running back. And so I think that is what ended up was what led us to Michael Carter. But what are your thoughts on why we went with Carter?
For me, it was I talked about this last video. It was the least amount of question marks and the least amount of hurdles to get to relevancy. If the Jets didn't draft Brees Hall this past year, Michael Carter was the guy. If this draft happened last year, like Michael Carter goes in the second, third round because people were loving him. Like he was a high draft pick for the
No, second round.
people were loving Michael Carter before Brees Hall.
Wow.
Like people were all about Michael Carter being the next big thing. He was flying up draft boards. All it takes is a Brees Hall injury for Michael Carter to be the back in the Jets. Yes, Zonovan Knight's there, but he's maybe they split. But like he's shown that he's shown that he can carry the load. He's shown that he can produce. There's just not for me when we were looking at running backs, and this is for roster construction. I said let's get a running back. At this point, we had three running backs, three wide receivers, but we spent more draft capital on wide receivers. We took CD Lamb, we took Judy, we took DeAndre Hopkins. I thought our three wide receivers was way better than our three running backs. So when we're going to start adding depth, all things being equal, I wanted a running back. Just for that roster construction, we only need to start one, but it's best ball. Let's get a guy who has the potential, right? If something goes wrong and Brees Hall gets out again, like you could have a starting running back in the NFL, which is hard to come by. And you can have a guy that's going to see 15 carries a game. Like there's a world in which Michael Carter is a lead back for the Jets next year and really touts the rock a lot, gets a ton of volume. I didn't see that from a Rashad Penny. I didn't see that from a Cordero Patterson. I didn't see that from, I mean, I thought Chuba Hubbard, but I think they bring someone in Carroll. We talked about Chuba Hubbard, but new regime, like he hasn't really shown anything. Like we've seen Michael Carter have good games. We've seen Michael Carter do it in the backfield by himself for the most part. I mean, yes, the year before they, got in, Tevin Coleman and all these other guys, but he's shown potential. So I like that build. This is where we started talking about roster construction and what we wanted. And we really said we would probably want to finish when we're all said and done. We want to have 5 running backs and 3 to 4 QBs and probably 3 to 4 tight ends and the rest wide receivers. And I think wide receiver depth in this draft is still there. And the running back depth for me was getting real shallow real quick. And I was really concerned about who was going to be available if we didn't take a running back here. And I thought Michael Carter was the end of the tier, which I don't like being in, but I definitely didn't want to drop down the tier. And I thought he was I still had him and a couple other guys in the tier. So I was like, let me get in before the tier completely runs out.
Yeah, you're definitely more bullish than I am on Michael Carter. So I definitely ended up leaning more towards you on that. But I think at this part in the draft, it's decent value. And he is, I would say, I feel he's a little more feast or famine. He's not really a consistent guy that you're going to get a certain
I
amount.
agree.
Fournette and Zeke are more those, well, maybe not Fournette. He was more feast and famine this year, but like Zeke was like consistency all over the place. But Carter's feast or famine. We just need him to feast sometimes. And
Yes.
at this point in the draft, I think it was okay.
I'm looking at guys in our draft now that can be in our lineup 5 times next season, right? Like if I get 5 games in him in our lineup, I'm super happy.
So, Dustin, any surprises in between our picks between Gesicki and Carter?
For me, it is Zach Wilson. Like, I think Zach Wilson might be done. I, I don't see I don't see a clear path for him getting back into a starting role. I don't really see. I struggle to see him as a backup. Like he's played 2 years, 3 years, and has looked not great. The Jets seem to be moving on from him. I don't see another team giving him a shot. If he is, he might be a practice squad guy. I just don't see the pathway for Zach Wilson to be relevant. In the NFL, backups are relevant. Like they play. I think this year we saw 70 some quarterbacks play in the NFL. So every backup plays. I just don't know if Zach Wilson's a backup in the NFL, let alone a starter.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily based on his performance, but I think Zach Wilson, to me, maybe I'm wrong about this, but he kind of resembles to me the Johnny Manziel type. Johnny Manziel was a starter exclusively. When Johnny Manziel was not a starter anymore, he was gone in the league. I see Zach Wilson in a similar vein. He's not going to be a Josh Rosen that goes to from team to team to team to team to team to team. Like, this guy's been on like I don't know 5 or 6 teams since he was a bust, right? Wilson, I see as he's a starter only, and if he's not a starter, I don't really know if he'll be rostered going forward. So I'm with you. I maybe if you want to, I don't know, maybe a couple rounds from now, you want to just take a flyer on it. I get it, but to me, this was definitely early. The only one I had a problem with is Deonta Foreman. I know he had a really good season. We have a new coach coming in with Frank Reich. Don't think the coach was
And he's a
determined at
and
that time.
Foreman's a free agent too.
Yeah, exactly. He's older. I don't know. I think it's again a prisoner of the moment. I know he did really well last year. I think it was an anomaly. I don't think he's going to get the workload that he did. And so I feel like it could end up being a wasted pick. But other than that, I think those two are the big outliers for me.
And also I think with Foreman, like that roster construction, like that's that guy's second running back
That's
behind
crazy.
Gainwell. Like I get zero RB, but that's like that's
That's
that's like
really zero
that's
RB.
real zero. Like you're talking like you're
You're
hoping. I mean,
punting the
right? You're hoping.
position at that
You're
point.
basically hoping one of those hits, and you're never going to have a second one in your flex. That's a real risky move. Now he has the rookie pick, so maybe he gets a couple rookies. But man, you're really punting that position pretty hard there in the 3 spot.
But then at that point, though, wouldn't you argue that if that's your strategy, why not? Why waste your pick on a guy like Foreman? Draft the rookie running backs, and then you can get a guy like Curtis Samuel, DJ Chark, Paris Campbell. Some of these other people that actually could be somewhat quality.
Yeah, or take a young guy like Kyron Williams or Isaiah Spiller or
Right?
you
Yeah.
know a guy who we haven't seen. We've seen Devontae Foreman for years, and he's had one good year. Like we know what he is. Take a guy who you don't know. Like take a Zonovan Knight. Like we've seen limited work on Zonovan Knight. We've seen limited work for you know other players out there. Like Hassan Haskins went before this, but like someone like that who we haven't seen who could potentially be the starter. Foreman probably gets a job. He's probably in the rotation with someone, but like he's not a every down. He's not a 3 down back. He's not a 2 down back. He's a mix him in. I'm gonna get a series. You're gonna get a series back.
He seems
I agree with you.
very like Mike Davis esque. You know what I'm
I agree
talking
with you.
about?
Yes. Yep. He's Kenyon Drake. I'm gonna play for the Ravens and play a game and I'll be great. Then someone's gonna start me and I'm never gonna play again.
Yeah.
I just don't see the upside there for especially when he's your second running back. If he's your third or fourth or fifth running back, sure. But for roster construction for that team, that's super scary. When I'm looking at the running backs and going Gainwell, Foreman, they probably have the weakest running back core in the league
Oh, by far, yeah.
by far. So after our pick of Michael Carter, it went Chuba Hubbard, Paris Campbell, Malik Willis, Kayatan Ingram from Arizona, Jalen Warren, a rookie pick, Taylor Heineke, Rashid Shaheed, McCole Hardman finished out the 13th round. 14th round started with Terrace Marshall, then Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, Cade Otton, Velus Jones, another rookie pick, Odell Beckham, Jelani Woods, Zonovan Knight, then us at 14-10. Steve, we took Allen Robinson, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. What were your thoughts on Allen Robinson here?
Yeah, I really like this pick based on the value. This is an example of somebody who had so much hype and didn't live up to it. Had we done this draft a year ago, we're talking Allen Robinson, possibly like right around sixth, seventh round, I want to say. So we are basically getting that value, that discount double. So for me, yes, he had a very disappointing season. I would expect it should get better. And if it doesn't, it's a 14th round pick. We're in a win now mode. We're trying to be competitive. Allen Robinson, we just need him to have some really good weeks here and there. So I think for us, it was a no brainer. And worst comes to worst, if we're out of it, he's a great trade piece at the deadline that we ship away. And maybe we get a second round pick out of it in the future or some developmental players that we like. So at the end of the day, I think it made a lot of sense for us. But what did you think of the pick?
Yeah, I like the pick. I mean, everyone has been burnt by Allen Robinson now for 2 years. Everyone wanted this bounce back, for him to come out. The Rams just had a horrible year. Injuries to Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, even Robinson got hurt. The O-line got hurt. Like, things can't get much worse for the Rams offense. I don't think Robinson can have a worse year than what he had this year. So like there's potential that he could be better. And right, like you said, it's the 14th round. If he doesn't pan out, oh well, he's our fourth receiver. I think we've got enough people to slot in that flex if he doesn't work out. I mean, I looked at him and people are taking Odell Beckham, who not on a team, Velus Jones, who's at best the third receiver on the Bears, who are a low passing offense. I just don't see it. I mean, Rashid Shaheed, yeah, he's that boom bust guy. McCole Hardman's a boom bust, deep ball guy. Terrace Marshall, like you're talking about guys that have never really showed it. Rashid Shaheed showed it a little bit. Who you're just hoping can catch those deep balls. Robinson has shown that he can be. Now it's been a couple years, but he can be a wide receiver one for a team, and he can be a wide receiver two in fantasy. I love the value here as our fourth receiver. Again, roster construction. We just drafted our fourth running back. We match it with our fourth receiver. I think it's the top of a tier. I think there's a couple guys in this tier after, but I think he's the best one. And then it drops drops to a next tier in the next like 3, 4 guys. So again, I like being at the start of that tier. And I think people in the lower tier like Beckham and Velus Jones and Terrace Marshall, Hardman went above him. So like we got that value because I see wide receivers that I have in the tier below him going, yeah, let me scoop up the guy that I have a tier above guys that are already going. 14th round, it's boom bust. And if we get 3 weeks out of him, I'm super happy.
It sounds like then you had a lot of surprises in this stretch because I see you've mentioned a few here.
Yes. To me, it's probably McCole Hardman.
Interesting. Okay.
People have been waiting for him to.
Free agent this year.
Yeah. Whip freaking do. He hasn't done anything on the field. Like, people keep waiting for McCole Hardman. He's got the speed. He's going to be Tyreek Hill. He's going to catch these. He's never done it. He couldn't do it this year with no Tyreek Hill. He's never, ever done it with Patrick Mahomes. He's never going to be in a better situation than he was with the Chiefs. The Chiefs throw the deep ball. They have a quarterback who can chuck the ball a mile with accuracy in Mahomes. Where does he go that he's in a better situation? I don't see one.
Yeah.
Like, if he goes to Buffalo, he's behind Diggs. Like, he had every opportunity this year to step up and be the one. Yes, he had some injuries late in the season, but he couldn't do it. Even the year before, he was losing his job to Byron Pringle. Like, when you're getting beat by Byron Pringle in 2021, like
that's a problem. Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah, to me, this stretch is probably one of the more puzzling stretches for me. I think that Velus Jones pick is horrendous. He is a special teams player only. Guy is an older rookie. If he didn't see the playing field this year, what makes you think he's going to see it next year? That wide receiver room after Darnell Mooney got injured was a wasteland. Velus Jones did nothing. To me, that was a burned pick. Then there's some other weird picks too. Taylor Heineke and Gardner Minshew, I understand they're backup quarterbacks, but to me, it's like I don't see these guys maybe if a guy gets injured, but still, I just find them just very confusing selections. One thing I will say, and one I was surprised, I guess, in the scheme of things, the one way that Allen Robinson, the wheels fall completely off the cart potentially, is I have very serious concerns about Matthew Stafford. I know Matthew Stafford said he's not going to retire, but the injury he has, I believe it's to do with his spine, and I think there's some type of spinal tap surgery, something of that nature. If he has one more bad hit, he's done. Based on my understanding, obviously, we can only trust fantasy Twitter doctors as much as the next fantasy Twitter doctor. But I am very concerned with Stafford. If that's the case, who's throwing him the ball? I think Baker honestly might be that guy. For whatever reason, McVay really likes him. He had that one game against the Raiders that was just like, wow, like Baker actually good? That is one pick I really like, and it makes you wonder, why did the owner who drafted Zach Wilson? I would much rather have Baker Mayfield
Oh
over
yeah.
Zach Wilson. So to me, where Baker Mayfield fell in these other ones, I think is a pretty good value. That'll be the question with Allen Robinson, though. Is it Stafford throwing him the ball, or is it possibly Baker Mayfield? They don't have cap space. It'll be really interesting.
What I like about Robinson with the Rams is if, let's say, week 1, Stafford gets hurt and he's done. The Rams are not afraid to go out there and get someone. They went out and got Baker this year, even when they were already done. Like,
True.
they went and traded for Baker, even though they had no shot at the playoffs, because
I
they
think they
are a
signed
win.
him in free agency, right? Wasn't he cut by the
Yeah,
Panthers?
it was cut, but I think it was a backroom deal. Like, but either way, they went out and got him. With, they could have rolled. They could have rolled with John Wofford. They could have run with Bryce Perkins and saw what they had in Bryce Perkins. They said, no, we're going to go get Baker for whatever reason. They want to be good. Like, that team is built to win now, and they know it. And so right, we talk about Brady, Stafford goes down week 2, week 3. Tell me the Rams won't throw a bag of money at Brady. I guarantee you they will. They'll
Oh
give
yeah,
Brady. I mean, right? And what's the difference between? I mean, I get it. San Fran was Brady's team growing up, but you're telling me Brady doesn't want to go live in L.A. and play for the Rams with Cooper Kupp,
Aaron
with Allen
Donald,
Robinson.
Aaron Robinson. Yeah, we're doing really good if Brady goes there.
With a coach who was basically going to say, "Yeah, do what you want to do." Like, there's been whoever throws, like, they're going to have a good quarterback throwing the ball. They're not just going to suck. They're not going to tank. That's the Rams. They don't tank. That's not what they do. They're going to be out there and they're going to be competitive and they're going to do what they need to be competitive. So I love the Allen Robinson pick. After Allen Robinson, it went James Robinson, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Samaje P. Ryan, Isaiah Spiller, a rookie pick, which I believe we're getting towards the end of the second round with that pick. Starting the 15th round, Daniel Bellinger, Kyron Williams, the running back for the Rams, Taysom Hill, Darius Slayton, another rookie pick, Jawan Johnson, and then Steve with us at 15-7. We took Pierre Strong, running back for the New England Patriots. What were your thoughts here with Pierre Strong?
Yeah, this is our last pick as a part of our part 3 series, and you had to convince me on this one. I was I have I have it's just our running back strategy has changed so much,
Multiple
but
times.
I think at this point I was okay just checking it out after Fournette because of the amount of starters that we need.
Which is one.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you were like, "Hey, Steve, like we should just consider." We went with Carter, and then we came up here. We had some other players on the board that I kind of liked over Strong, but we ended up going with Strong, and I like him the best because I think Damian Harris. Actually, well, I don't know it, but I very strongly believe that Damian Harris will not be a New England Patriot. He will be gone.
He's a free agent. I doubt they re-sign him.
Right. Ramondre Stevenson's there. Everybody and their brother thinks Ramondre Stevenson's going to be this top, maybe best running back next year. I don't buy it. I can't remember a time when a Bill Belichick New England Patriot running back was the number 1 running back in fantasy. And I'd be very curious to look and see from a trivia standpoint if during his tenure, if he's ever even had a running back 1.
I mean, I think
I mean,
James
well,
White.
Stevenson might have been running back one at one point, maybe even this season. But I mean, like a top five running back, top three. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yes, I agree. And this is where I think me and you had this discussion on roster construction and what that looks like. And I had to convince you that we needed 5 running backs. And this was our 5th running back pick. And for me, it was for Pierre Strong. There was like 3 other running backs that I liked, and then that was it. And I thought we needed to take one. Um, we also talked, our other consideration at this point was Van Jefferson. And this is where I came in and said, roster construction wise, if we want a 5th running back, if we don't take Pierre Strong, he probably doesn't make it back to us. Then we're
No.
probably at the end of the tier of the guys we like. I prefer Van Jefferson in the vacuum, but the fact that we had Allen Robinson turned me off on Van Jefferson because I didn't want to take back-to-back Rams receivers, just for that sense of diversifying our team. If the Rams are a bad team again, you have 2 bad receivers. I think the Rams will be better than they were, but I still, even if they're the best passing offense, are their number 2 and number 3 receivers going to be that great? Like, would you like to have T. Higgins? I mean, Allen Robinson is not T. Higgins, but like, you're not talking T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd here. You're talking, you know, Michael Gallup and Noah Brown for the Cowboys. It's not 3 high end wide receivers. It's not like it's a wide
No.
receiver one, wide receiver one, wide receiver three. You're talking Cooper Kupp's a wide receiver one in fantasy. Allen Robinson's probably a wide receiver three. So wide receiver one, wide receiver three, and Van Jefferson's probably also wide receiver three. I just didn't see a ton of upside, so I didn't want to double stack those Ram receivers. We basically said we're going to take Pierre Strong, and we're probably never going to draft a running back ever again in this draft. We'll see if that stays true because you're right. Our running back strategy has changed multiple times based on value and roster construction. But I like Pierre
Well,
Strong. I agree with you. The Patriots generally rotate backs in, and I think Damian Harris won't get re-signed. I don't see them sign another guy. I think they like Pierre Strong, and he'll rotate in with Ramondre Stevenson this year.
the one concern is, do the Patriots draft another running back? You did see Kevin Harris, which
Kevin
was a
Harris, yep.
rookie also. He started getting involved. He's still available at this point. But I think Pierre Strong is the one I like better. And if you think about it, even in Ramondre's rookie year, he didn't do all that much either. So
Nope.
I like this is a dart throw for us. And that's where I think Dustin convinced me at the end of the day is the list is getting to the end of the line. There's really nobody else. I mean, I think you'd like Gus Edwards,
Yep.
some other players. And for me, it was like, okay, if we're going to take another running back, let's take a dart throw that I think could turn into something. And if any running back room is going to do it, it's going to be a New England
New
Patriot
England.
running
Yep.
back room. So I think it was worth the dart throw. I would say we'll see as we go into part 4. I would say that I'm gonna probably try to stand firm and not draft any other running back. But like you said, Dustin, who knows? This has been an ever-changing process.
If there's like, I'm never gonna get locked into a stance. Like, I want to stay fluid in that, and if there's a value later, I'll take it and I'll push to take it. But I don't see. I think when I looked at, like, I scrolled for a while and there was like, okay, there's 5 guys that I would want on my team, like running back wise. I looked at wide receiver and I was like, oh, there's probably 15 guys, right? And just receivers a deeper position. And so now and I like the fact that we kind of roster build wise and strategy wise, we kind of locked up our running back position. We're good. We feel confident. We have 5 of them. That's a good number in a 25. We're going to draft 25 rounds. Like, that's 1/5 of our total roster is running backs. I feel like that's good. We have 3 quarterbacks. We have 2 tight ends, even though we don't need to start one. And we have 4 wide receivers. And now we can spend the next couple rounds on wide receivers / tight ends and just fill out those boom bust guys. Steve, what were the surprises that you saw between Allen Robinson and Pierre Strong?
Honestly, I think this is par for the course. I actually don't really feel like I have too many surprises here. It was a little bit too bad the running back run for our sake, with James Robinson, Mostert, Wilson, P. Ryan, Spiller, and Kyron Williams all being taken. That was definitely a bummer. I didn't, it's just one of those things. It was like, okay, I think I would have liked some of those other guys. I like Spiller better than Strong. I know you're not a big Spiller fan. James Robinson's also very interesting in a way because he's an RFA. Was good in Jacksonville. New York didn't give him any love. He's probably going to be a free agent. He's going to want to go somewhere that he's involved. So I
Still
find him,
relatively young, surprisingly.
yes, I find him a little bit interesting, honestly, but like I would have taken him over Strong. So I wish those guys would have fell through. If I could say maybe the one surprise, if I had to put a surprise, it would probably be Taysom Hill. I know he has these games where probably 1 to 2 weeks during the year he's going to make it into your lineup.
Yeah.
But to me, he's more of a Sean Payton guy. He's not. He doesn't fit to me the Dennis Allen mold. Dennis Allen is not the offensive guru to kind of figure out ways to put Taysom Hill into the game. So, I mean, most of the time it was Andy Dalton as a starter. I don't think they're going to want that. I could see them going after a Derek Carr. They're going to want to and Derek Carr knows Dennis Allen because he drafted Derek Carr. So, to me, I don't know. I don't know. He's not a tight end really. He's a gadget guy at the end of the day.
He's he's like every gadget guy. Yep.
So I mean, to me, that's my biggest rub. But what about you? Any surprises for you in that stretch?
I personally love the Taysom Hill for a best ball league. Right, because he can run, pass, catch. Like you're right, he's gonna have 2-3 weeks a season, but like those 2-3 weeks are pretty high. Like he can put up quarterback level numbers in your flex. My surprise was Isaiah Spiller. I'm out. I've been out. I don't get it. Couldn't get on the field this year. Was losing work to everyone. I mean, they brought in.
Yeah, really.
They brought in Sony Michel, Josh Johnson, or whoever it was. Like
Josh Johnson, the quarterback, Dustin.
I mean, whoever it was. I mean, they were running everyone but Isaiah Spiller out there. As a rookie, if you can't get on the field, he wasn't. I don't think he was really playing special teams. Like I just don't see a role for him on that offense. We keep hoping every year the Chargers draft a guy and it's like, oh, this guy's finally going to be the guy to be the complement to Eckler, who's going to, take some of the workload. It was, Roundtree the year before, and it's Isaiah Spiller. I think he's done. I don't see him getting a workload. We saw nothing. I mean, literally nothing from him because he couldn't make it on the field when they literally had nothing behind Eckler. I mean, Sony Michel was good, but then he was hurt. He just, to me, it's one of those picks where like, what do you see in Isaiah Spiller that gives you hope? They clearly don't rotate a guy in enough. And if they did, they would have used him this year and they didn't. So that's why I was shocked at that pick. I would have really I was hoping Bellinger or Juwan Johnson fell to us. Sad to see them go because I think they have a lot of upside. But yeah, that Spiller pick to me was just the shocker of all shockers because I'm completely out on him. I think it's one of those cases of he's a second-year player that people drafted last year with this hype, and they're still buying into that hype, even though they're like, oh, it's coming. It's delayed. It's a delayed breakout. At some point, they're just bust. Like some people are just bust, and you have to admit it sooner rather than later. I'm willing to say he's a bust, and if he proves me wrong, then I'm wrong. But I'd rather be wrong and I'd rather cut him and him break out than me hold him and him be a bust and clog up my roster for the next 2 years. People fall in love with dynasty players fall in love with rookie picks and they fall in love with the players they took with those rookie picks and they are committed to them forever. Terrace Marshall, people love him. People, want to hold on to all these guys that they drafted a year or two ago. And they're like, it's coming. The breakout's coming. Like, cool. What have you seen from him? Well, the games he did play, he didn't look great, but that's because he didn't get the opportunity. It's just not coming, man. It's just let it go. Just let it go, man. Go full Elsa Frozen and just let it go.
Hopefully, you are all enjoying as this draft as we've been going through it. I know Dustin and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, please, subscribe to our channel and leave some comments below. What did you think of our Part 3 draft and the players that we took with Tom Brady, Mike Gesicki, Michael Carter, Allen Robinson, and Pierre Strong? What did you think was the best values, biggest reach? please let us know. And if you haven't already, watch part 1 or part 2. You won't want to miss out. So thanks so much for watching, and until next time.